and confidence boosts. There are also risk, pressures, and tough questions. It's about wellness and lifestyle. My name is Jane Izo. Welcome to Better You. We're diving into a topic that's shaping conversation across social media, clinics, and the everyday life: body enhancement. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Before we begin our discussion, let's take a closer look at the realities behind body enhancement. I'll be right back.
In a world driven by perfection, the human body has become a canvas, edited, sculpted, and enhanced. From the gymnasium to the operating table, body enhancement is no longer a secret, it's a movement. But beneath the glow-ups and transformations lies a deeper story. At its best, body enhancement is empowerment, or at least that's the way it was. It's the woman reclaiming her confidence after childbirth, the man building strength, discipline, and self-worth through fitness. It's the reconstructive surgery giving survivors a second chance at wholeness. Enhancement in this light is not vanity, it's healing. It's choosing to feel good in your own skin. But then comes the pressure, the silent comparison, the endless scroll. Bodies become trends, waistlines shrink, curves inflate. What was once a personal choice becomes a social expectation, and suddenly natural doesn't feel enough anymore. The danger: we start chasing versions of ourselves that don't truly exist offline. And then the ugly truth: unregulated procedures, fake practitioners, dangerous substances injected into unsuspecting bodies. So where do we draw the line? Is there still a line? Body enhancement is not the enemy, but intention matters. Direction is key. Understanding should be the goal. Love for self and self-respect must be at the center. Safety matters. Self-worth matters even more, because the most powerful transformation is not the one we see in the mirror, but the one we feel within. Enhance if you choose to, but never at the cost of your life, your health, or your truth.
Welcome back. Joining us in the studio is a medical doctor with special interest in aesthetic medicine, Dr. Dorothy Ayi Aseme. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
So when we talk about body enhancement, what exactly falls under that term?
So body enhancement is a broad term that encompasses both surgical and non-surgical procedures that aim to improve physical appearance, aim to enhance function, and also improve the overall well-being of individuals. It's a whole lot more on that, because under surgical you have procedures like liposuction, where they remove fats from undesired areas, right? And then you have like another thing is BBL, which you said, which is the full mean is Brazilian butt lift, where they remove fat from undesired areas and then they put it into like the buttocks. Then for non-surgical you have the lesser invasive procedures, where you have Botox, where you use like a substance that tends to like prevent wrinkles and like deep wrinkles and on different areas of the face. Then you also have fillers. Those are lesser invasive procedures. So a whole lot of other things.
Why do you think body enhancement has become more popular in recent years?
One of the reasons because of the advancements in social media usage. Now you have Instagram, you have Snapchat, you have TikToks, and these apps, they have like variety of filters. Yeah, so you have there's a perceived notion of the ideal standard of beauty. So people, when they use those filters, they will want to look like those people. So it has influenced how they feel beauty should be like. And another thing is that people are now more comfortable with the fact that someone can actually enhance the person's body. Like people have begun to accept it more, so it's on the increase. Yes.
Are there benefits of body enhancement procedures?
There are a whole lot of benefits, and they are associated with the different procedures that could have been done. So for someone who would have undergone a breast reduction, maybe a person would have had big breasts and which would have come with back pain and the rest. So if the person actually goes to do a breast reduction, the person will feel more relief, and there'll be person will no longer be able to feel back pain and everything again. Then also improve self-confidence. Like for someone, an example is someone who maybe breast cancer patient that maybe on remission, and then cases whereby they have undergone a mastectomy, removal of their breast. There are cases whereby they will not feel confident, so they would undergo maybe a breast augmentation. In such a case now, you would have improved their self-confidence and also improved their physical appearance. So it cuts across a whole lot of things.
Do you think body enhancement can improve mental health and self-esteem of a person in a very meaningful way?
Okay, there are a whole lot of reasons. It can be, like you said, medical reasons, and it could also be personal choice. For the medical reasons, there are situations where it could actually limit someone's function. Like for example, someone born with a cleft lip, like where there is a slit at the roof of the mouth that can also include the lips. Yeah. So in those cases, the person needs to undergo a surgery in order to correct the defects, and in doing so, it will improve the person's the functionality of the person's oral cavity, because if that cleft lip or palate is left, it could actually cause feeding problems in a newborn. It happens. So if you notice that there are, and then due to this, there are a lot of subsidized or even free procedures now to correct cleft lip and also cleft palate. Then another thing is a case whereby someone has a deviated septum, like maybe in quotes crooked nose, where the person needs to undergo a rhinoplasty in order to correct it. Like I said, it could also cause breathing problems. So when someone has breathing problems, it will limit the person's function, just like I said. So in those cases, it is important to do that. Then another thing is that for someone now that has a cleft lip, it will reduce the person's self-esteem, so affect the person's self-esteem. Imagine growing up and then you see that your friends, they have normal lips, like the structure, and then yours, that it's not the same way. That child will grow up feeling insecure. So in such cases, it will actually affect the person's mental health a lot. So it's important for the person to feel good about the person's self. So it's important to undergo that surgery. And another thing is personal choice. Like I said, still about improved self-confidence, reducing insecurity. So all those things, that's when it's important.
Okay. What are the common risks people often, overlook before undergoing these medical procedures? Because people will see, they will tell that they'll still overlook them. let's talk about the risk and of course the lasting consequences.
Okay, so there are a whole lot of risks involved, which comprises of the complications. So you have risk of infection, where the site could become infected, and if care is not taken, it could even lead to sepsis. So, and another thing is scarring. Some people are more predisposed to scarring than others. So you could see scars at the site where the procedure was done. There is also a risk of fat embolism, where fat travels to the lungs. Lives could be lost. And also pulmonary embolism, in this case, blood clot to travel to the lungs. Also, lives could be lost too. Then for the long-term consequences, there's something about when people chase perfection. Like you've done the procedure, but you think, oh, I think I need a little more just to make it better. So you see that they keep on doing and doing. So long-term, it could even create a kind of, they could even start feeling insecure about themselves and feel that they are not as perfect as they should look. So that's a long-term consequence, and like that one affects them psychologically. Another thing is when the surgery is botched, like it's not done properly. Maybe a case whereby someone goes to fix the person's nose, but it's still not fixed or it becomes worse. You get, so the person still, so basically the person ends up with a bad procedure that has been done. Then maybe even when you call like even the BBL, maybe it's not done in a very proportional way. Then you see one higher than the other, one smaller and everything. So that's also a long-term consequence, botched procedures. So yes, I have given the example of someone that had a cleft lip, yeah? So in such a case where the person's lip would have been corrected, it will improve the person's self-confidence and it will reduce, it will actually reduce low self-esteem. The person will be more proud of the person's self and accept the person's appearance. And aside those procedures to help with the cleft lip and the structure, there are cases whereby they also use fillers in order to make the mouth more to improve the appearance of the mouth more. You know that people that would have had cleft lip, after the procedure, their lips tend to be thin, as in the upper lip tend to be thin. So some people still go for that one, that go using fillers to like make the lips more, like to make the lips fuller. In such a case, the person feels good about the person's self and the person feels confident, because you know that the lip, like, this is what you see. When you see me, you see my face, my lips, my eyes and everything. So yeah.
Is there a stigma attached to those who undergo body enhancements? You know, because I've heard of people who get stigmatized and then the pressure comes and they go to unalive themselves.
There have been great improvements in recent years. You know, people have been more accepting, because before there were celebrities that would do these procedures, but then they would always deny that they've done these procedures. But now you see cases whereby celebrities even document their experiences, their journey from pre-op and everything, even post-op and all that. So in such a case, like, it's making people more aware of that these things actually go on. So people have become more accepting about this, and then even the celebrities have become more vocal about their experiences, and they've been, like I said, massive improvements in this area.
So how can the society is accepting that as a trend, at the same time they tend to want to stigmatize people?
Yeah.
How does this affect the mental health of those people who have gone to do these cosmetic surgeries to enhance their body?
Okay, regardless of the fact that people have become like accepting it more, there will still be some people that definitely will speak negatively about it. But in recent times, like I said, even with the fact that people praise these celebrities and there are still people that still bash them, but the celebrities have begun to like grow a thick skin more than before. But then in such a case whereby it really affects the celebrity, it will reduce self-confidence. Yeah, but like I said, in recent times, there have been great improvements. People are now coming out to document their experiences, and it's been great so far.
So whether you boo them,
yes,
whether you bash them or
yes,
not, they are just there.
yes, they are there, yes, actually.
All right, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Doc, I want to ask, are there healthy alternatives for people seeking confidence or body improvement?
So the thing is, even the surgical procedures for body enhancements, they are also healthy, yeah. But for people that don't want to go under the knife, then maybe for someone that has maybe like big tummy, you could actually exercise, yeah. So you could go to the gym, engage in exercises. You could actually trim your abdomen, and then yes, you could actually do that, trim your abdomen. But there are cases whereby maybe when someone is actually really fat, the person goes to gym, and in the process, as the person loses weight, there's excess skin. You cannot just gym away the excess skin. Yeah, so you have to go under the knife to remove the excess skin. So when you say healthy alternative, it now makes it seem as if these surgical procedures are not healthy, but meanwhile they are healthy. So in cases whereby non-medical activities can help, the person could engage in surgical alternatives. And then for someone who has a deviated septum, there's no other way to correct that than for a person to go under the knife, to undergo a rhinoplasty to correct it. For someone that has a cleft lip, there's no other option. The person has to undergo a surgery. So there are a lot of things that only surgery can be the best option. For these people, these body enhancements, they are medically important. You know that it's for body enhancement, you have different reasons. Some for medical reasons, and you have just personal choice. For some people, it is medically important, so they have to do it.
All right, Dr. Dorothy, on a final note, what would be the take-home for viewers concerning this conversation, all of the conversations that we have had?
Okay, it is that first of all, in as much as there are beautiful sides to these body enhancement outcomes, there are also complications that could arise. So I feel like before you go for any procedure, you should know the risks that are involved. And number two, people should be more realistic with their expectations. You get, because different outcomes, but then there are different outcomes, but then there are it depends on people's body types also that different outcomes could actually be. Another thing is before someone should undergo any body enhancement, the person should not have body dysmorphia disorder. This is a case where it's a mental disorder in which someone is obsessively concerned about imagining flaws in the physical appearance. In such a case, even if the person undergoes the body enhancement, the person will still not be okay. So in those cases, there's this tendency to still continue undergoing one after the other. So it's a never-ending cycle. So I feel like mentally, the person should be actually okay before the person undergoes these body enhancements and procedures, which is whether surgical or the like. And another thing is that people should not be desperate to change their physical appearances in cases where they met the licensed practitioner and then they've been told no. There's a reason why you are told no. It could be that you are at risk of some complications, you understand? So in such a case, you should learn to stop when you are told to stop. Because if the person is actually desperate, you could end up falling into the hands of someone who is a quack, who will now do the procedure for the person, and then the person now ends up having complications that could have been avoided if the person had stopped earlier on.
All right, Dr. Dorothy Ayi Aseme, thank you so much for helping us to understand the realities of body enhancement.
You're welcome.
So it's clear that while there are benefits, there are also serious considerations people need to keep in mind before making such decisions. The goal should always be your well-being, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Please stay informed, stay confident, and take care of yourself. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. My name is Jane Izo.